Mike Devaney of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns in this game, you could win $1 million. As promised, to Mosaic we go. Here's Rod Smith and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Kate. It is a new season on the prairie, a season we know will end at that stadium, Mosaic, November 20th for Grey Cup 109. Now, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are bound and determined to host it, and their team they're facing today, they're bound and determined to get back, Glenn Suter, after heartbreak in their own barn. That was back in December at Tim Hortons Field when they lost to Winnipeg in overtime. Let's start with the quarterbacks in this season opener for the Ticats and Roughriders, beginning with Saskatchewan's Cody Fajardo.
Well, it'll be a pressure cooker for Cody Fajardo this year here in Saskatchewan, of course, with the big game in the main event played here at Mosaic Stadium in late November. He is 21-8 and as a starter and 2-0 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But as you mentioned, Ron, knocking on the door in the West Final in the past 2 years and can't kick it open just yet. Dane Evans on the other sideline. Different pressure for him this year. He's 11-4 as a starter, but this is his team now. No more Jeremiah Masoli. He is in Ottawa. Dane Evans gets a start to start the season. He has Grey Cup experience.
The Ticats won the toss, and they want the ball to get this season started. Saskatchewan kicker Brett Lawther has it all lined up at the 35 to get this one underway. Lawrence Woods is back along with Sean Thomas Erlington. The season has begun in Saskatchewan for the Ticats and the Roughriders, and it's Woods, the newcomer to Hamilton, with it. Up across the 40 and across the 45 before he is finally taken down. A return of 20 yards, and here comes Dane Evans and that Hamilton offense.
Yeah, 3 starts in the 21 season in the regular season, but did start the 108th Grey Cup championship, was knocked out due to injury, and Mazzoli came in. So he understands the pressure of the championship game. Now, how will he handle the pressure of being the guy and the starter in Hamilton? Undisputed starter now. Can't go to the bench right out of the gate and get Jeremiah Mazzoli off the bench any longer.
Odd dynamic with only 3 starts last year, but as you say, he started in 2 Grey Cups. He has experience. Play action fake. It's deflected at the line and nearly intercepted. A chance there for Nelson Lacombo getting his first start after having to miss all of last season with an Achilles injury.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people here in the province that are cheering for Nelson Lacombo to have a big season. He had that Achilles along with Larry Dean, a couple of other players no longer here with the team, but Lacombo gets a chance off this tip and deflection up in the air. AC Leonard gets it, and he had a chance at it, and maybe a little first game nerves.
So a 2nd and 10. First possession, Ticats. Under pressure, losing the ball. Saskatchewan has it. What a start for the green and white. Pete Robertson. We'd like to welcome viewers on TSN1 just underway here at Mosaic, and the first big break of this game goes to the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Number 45, Pete Robertson, makes the team as a starter off that defensive end position, and he gets an inside move out of the gate, slaps the ball out of Dane Evans' hands, in great field position for Cody Fajardo.
Robertson slaps it away. He recovers it. So Saskatchewan early on in business. Handing off Jamal Morrow, the ball carrier, to get it inside the 20.
Cody Fajardo was the nominee for the Riders for outstanding player, despite numbers that dropped, although it was a 14-game season, not an 18-game season as we normally have and will this year. 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Again, another appearance in the West Final. Again, can't get past the Winnipeg hurdle.
He had over 4,300 yards passing to lead the CFL in 2019, his first as a starter here in Saskatchewan. Beginning year 3 for him, and throwing and completing 2 to Duke Williams. Williams, who had some great years with Edmonton before going to the NFL, he came back to Saskatchewan, signing with the Roughriders last year, but only playing in a handful of games.
Yeah, it really was a difference maker when he arrived. Played 4 games in the regular season and the 2 playoff games, but you know, Duke brings an edge. Real level of confidence. The entire group, the receiving room, goes up when Duke Williams walked in the room.
And gets close to a first down, but not quite. It is inches away inside the Hamilton 14. And a 3rd down gamble here for Fajardo. Keeping it and should have enough to move the sticks. And a little push after the fact on that first down by Saskatchewan as we take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Expedia.
Well, speaking of nominees, nominee a couple of times for outstanding offensive lineman has been Dan Clark. He is their leader up front. He will make sure he calls all the stunts and blitzes from the Hamilton defense. There's Duke Williams, signed a contract extension with the Riders this offseason. He and Shaq Evans, 1 and 2, is the number 1 and 2 targets this year for Cody Fajardo.
Down to the 12 and a 1st and 10. Saskatchewan first possession after the turnover. The toss to Morrow. And the Ticats defense does a great job to string it out and cause him to lose yardage as he's pushed out of bounds back at the 20.
Rod, when I look at these 2 defenses and you take a look at the lineups with Micah Johnson moving from Saskatchewan, now with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the interior of that D line. No Jagarrett Davis, he's gone, but Micah Johnson comes in and will rotate with Ted Laurent. Simone Lawrence, maybe one of the best all-time, the linebacker spot for Hamilton in their history. All due respect to Ben Zambiazzi. And Carriel Brooks will not start at halfback tonight. That'll be Alden Darby, who has experience in the CFL, this time with the Argos.
Passing now in the 2nd and 18. Fajardo. Will he take off? Been known to run. Likes to run. Gets inside the 10. Not nearly enough, of course, for a first down. 2nd leading rusher behind William Powell in 2021 for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, but in this play, he's rolling hard to his left. Really difficult for a quarterback that is right-handed to roll that hard to your left and throw it back against the grain with any type of accuracy, and you usually get in trouble. Last thing Cody Fajardo wanted to do there is throw an interception in the end zone and possibly lose this chance for 3 points.
So Brett Lother out for his first field goal try, and a short one put down by Kari Vedvik, and up and through. 12-yard field goal. Big turnover. A little bit of tempers flaring here too. Shaq Evans and Simone Lawrence. It's a 3-0 Rider lead here in the CFL on TSN.
Let's go back and take another look at why the Saskatchewan Roughriders have 3 points on the board. It's because of Pete Robertson in this strip fumble off the line of scrimmage there. Watch how he knocks the hands down of Vornkall here, the starting left tackle. Gets leverage inside, and now he's got a straight path to Dane Evans. Slaps the ball out of his hands, gets that great field position. That leads to the 3 points.
A 12-yard field goal by Brett Lother, so 2nd possession for Dane Evans and the Ticats. Handing off to Don Jackson, left side. A flag comes out on that first down play.
Ticats have 1 very young tackle and 1 veteran tackle. That is an all-star.
Hamilton, number 53. 5-yard penalty. Check. 10-yard penalty, excuse me. We'll replay first down.
They got the new center, Alex Fontana, in his 2nd year. Played in Ottawa, drafted originally by the Red Blacks.
Yeah, he and Travis Vornkall are the young ones, the veteran and the all-star, and the outstanding lineman is Chris Van Zyl on the other side. 13 seasons in the Canadian Football League.
First down and 20 off the hold. And there is Jake Burt, the first player taken in the CFL draft of 2021. He couldn't play last year. He was hurt. He spent the first 4 years of his life in Regina, born here and then moved to the U.S., to Boston, but always considered Saskatchewan his home. And as fate would have it, Glenn, he makes his first CFL debut right here at Mosaic.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch how Tommy Condell, the offensive coordinator, will rotate and work him into the offense, and how Dane Evans could use him. He can play slot back, he can run routes, he can block in the run game, good tight end as well. Lots of ways to use Jake Burt.
Went to Boston College. Throwing. On that play, it's intercepted. Marshall in coverage on Stephen Dunbar. The 12th career interception for Nick Marshall, and the turnover battle is clearly going to the home side right now. They had the forced fumble. It led to a field goal, and now Marshall on Dunbar has the pick. The Riders have the ball up at the 47 Saskatchewan.
Take another look at the interception from Nick Marshall, 4th year Saskatchewan Roughrider. He's going to get out and play aggressive press coverage right in the face of Stephen Dunbar now. He doesn't punch him, sticks with him right in the hip pocket. Hand fighting is legal and fine by both players. Now watch the box out. There's the box out like he's ripping down a rebound, making sure that Dunbar can't get through him to get to the football, and then he high points it. Gets up there and catches it above Dunbar, make sure he can't make the play.
Rider ball, Fajardo quickly off to the left, and Duke Williams as he is knocked out of bounds by Deontay Evans.
Talked about the attitude he brings, just that confident edge that he believes that he can catch anything in his area code. 1,500 yards plus when he was an Edmonton Eskimo at the time, Elks now. That's last year.
Took a while to get going, but once he did, he was a big factor in the playoffs too.
Yeah, that counts, those 2 playoff games, those numbers. And he had a hamstring last year.
Quickly second down. And Akian Schaefer-Baker, who had a very good rookie season, one of the top rookies in the CFL, catches that, gets it not enough for a first down. Schaefer-Baker at Guelph in his 2nd year. Right at midfield. This is a good yard, call it 2. As once again, a 3rd down gamble coming up here, or will they? Seeing this again. Trying to draw him off, but Ticats aren't biting. Looks like we're going to wait this one out. Had one of these in Calgary the other night.
Important when you watch this that the offensive line can't headbutt. They can't move drastically while Cody Fajardo is basically faking that call to try and draw him offside.
5-yard penalty. It's going to be 3rd down.
As announced by the referee Ben Major, a time count violation for Fajardo, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders pushing him back for a punting situation now for Kari Vedvik.
Well, Craig Diggins was going to punt either way. He just wanted to see if he could draw him offside and get the free first down. Didn't happen. The 5 yards really irrelevant on the delay of game because they're kicking it anyway. But good discipline from the Ticat defense.
Vedvik standing back at his 31. So the Ticat D, after that turnover, holds at the ball for the 3rd time, down by 3. New returner Lawrence Woods for Hamilton, and nowhere to go. Up around the 25. Slow start for Dane Evans, undisputed #1 quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Still early. First game of the season for the Cats and the Riders. Back at Mosaic, where the first star so far of this game has been Saskatchewan's defense.
Yeah, playing great. Just 4 plays for Dane Evans and the Hamilton offense, and Saskatchewan's got their hands on the ball on 3 of them. Pete Robertson with this big strip. That turned into 3 points for the Riders, and then the interception by Nick Marshall. So this is well-played Saskatchewan defense so far at home here at Mosaic.
Series 3, Evans over the middle and complete. Got Braylon Addison.
Take a look right at the Saskatchewan starting defense. Pete Robertson and A.C. Leonard off the edges. They will rotate in Charleston Hughes. Everyone knows that name. I love their linebacking core this year. Darnell Sankey comes over from the Calgary Stampeders as a free agent. Larry Dean is healthy again. And Derek Moncrief. That is quite a group. And there's Nelson Lacombo starting at corner after that Achilles injury last year ended his season.
Ball at the 35 after the catch by Addison. Don Jackson nowhere to go. Derek Moncrief finishes it off. Garrett Marino started it. And that Rider defense rises up again.
Well, they'll be strong in the middle. They lose Micah Johnson. He's now a Ticat. We'll see him wearing the white jerseys tonight. But they have Garrett Marino in there and Anthony Lanier that are strong in the middle. And then A.C. Leonard, remember A.C. Leonard led the league in sacks. There's the defensive coordinator, Jason Shivers, getting them fired up to start this season opener.
As they force the Ticats to punt. Simon Larrier, new punter for Hamilton. And on the return and tripping up just across the 25 after a 59-yard punt. Rider ball. Rider leads the opener at Mosaic. None of us have been racking up the air miles lately or air kilometers like Sarah Orleski, who left her hometown of Winnipeg to join us in Calgary, then went back for the Bombers opener. That was last night. So that's 2 games. And then had to go to Calgary as a connection to get to Regina for today.
So many air miles. Yes, she is the pilot of Air Sarah.
There she is. And she flies the plane, Sarah Orleski. Is there anything you don't do? I hope you still have a little fuel left in the plane today.
Oh, Rod, I am highly caffeinated right now. So I'm great right now. Whether or not you see me in the third quarter, I might need you in suits to bring down a cup of coffee for me. But let's not do a deep delve into what this week has been like for me. Let's talk about the deep delve that Cody Fajardo did in this offseason regarding his 2021 season. It wasn't up to his standards. He wasn't happy with it. He went back and watched film. Now, that's not uncommon. Usually he pays attention to the defenses. This time, though, he went back and looked at every pass and run concept that they ran in 2021. And then with every pass, he analyzed it, not just in terms of completion, incompletion. He also looked at his footwork, his accuracy, whether or not he was comfortable with the play, took notes on it. He and Jason Moss had Zoom meetings almost every week during the offseason, but this was something Cody really wanted to do as he focuses in on having a great 2022 season.
Make sure you take a break tonight before you get back on a plane tomorrow, Sarah.
Nice job, Sarah. Yeah, and you know, we were all on the Zoom call with Cody when he went through all the self-scouting that Sarah just talked about. And you know, honestly, I used to do that every year in the offseason, and every player does. But when he was describing it, I thought, wow, that is another level of examining every single play and throw.
After the gain of 6, this one bobbled and nearly intercepted. Moving in for that, one of the new Ticats, Alden Darby, nearly had it too. So after that gain on first down, it'll be a 3rd and 4 after that knockdown by Darby.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of a curl route here. And Alden Darby, I mentioned, yeah, he's playing for Carriel Brooks in that halfback spot, but he has got tons of experience, playmaker, and he just jumps it. He read the mail and had a chance, and Jamal Morrow plays DB and knocks it down.
So Vetvik back to punt inside his 20 this time. That was the first incompletion of this game for Cody Fajardo. Riders still with that 3-0 lead. Defensive battle so far. Hamilton getting set for possession number 4. Lawrence Woods breaks a tackle. After a punt of 54 and a good return by Woods to get it up near the 40. And did he fumble the ball? The Riders are claiming they have it. Still,
the way the officials are digging through there, look like they are considering this a fumble and now just trying to determine who recovered it.
Damon Webb among the Riders insisting, but there are Ticats too.
By the way, message to all players: pointing the direction that you want does not sway the referee.
It doesn't? No, then why do they keep trying? It's one of the constants, yeah. You know, when you see them holding it like that, they're both right. So ultimately ends up in Rider hands. But Ben Major saying it is Hamilton football. Chris Van Zyl, age 38, the veteran of that team and that offensive line, and had this to say about now the undisputed quarterback for Hamilton, Dane Evans.
You talk about a guy that commands respect in the huddle and a guy you want to play for. There's no better example than Dane. Dane wears his heart on his sleeve. He's passionate about what he does. You can tell he loves and he's fully invested in everything that he touches. When he's on the football field, it's no different.
Faking that handoff and looking for Tim White, who made his CFL debut here in Saskatchewan in week 2 last year, but that falls incomplete.
Well, we're going to see 2 of the great pros in their position in the Canadian Football League's history going head-to-head a little bit tonight. That'll be Chris Van Zyl You just mentioned his resume against Charleston Hughes. Take a look at their accomplishments, their experience, just all-stars, and have commanded their positions like none other. And we're going to see that matchup one-on-one tonight a little bit.
Couple of 38-year-olds. Hughes in his 14th season. Pressure now. Evans gets away on the 2nd and 10 and gets it to Sean Thomas Erlington. But my goodness, that Saskatchewan defense has been strong so far in this game, pushing them back for a loss and a 3rd down.
Well, Rod, here is play 1. 39 against 54. The 38-year-olds that are getting better with time. In the one-on-one battle up top, Van Zyl closes the door high, makes him jump back inside Charleston Hughes, and then just for fun throws a linebacker around. But 1-0 Van Zyl in that matchup.
Simon Larrier the punt, Jamal Morrow the return. Van Zyl looks on, and what he said about Dane Evans does too was, even in 2019, Evans, a rookie, said you got the keys. And I think that probably helped Evans too, to see a leader on this team say that to him. Look who greets him before he goes into the room.
The 2 leaders.
There they are.
Yes, sir. Hamilton's going to kick the door down and get past that last hurdle. It's going to be those 2 guys that lead him offensively.
Saskatchewan football. Not much doing there. Dylan Wynn is there. Simone Lawrence, too, moving in on one of the Rider newcomers. That is Frankie Hickson, the ball carrier.
Well, here's what I was mentioning off the top, Rod, about these 2 defenses. You take a look at the personnel in the lineups of these 2 defenses. Front 7 for both teams. This could be a much lower scoring game. I don't know if you took the under yet, but I may have taken the under if I was a better and doing that. I'm not, but there's some good defense out here tonight.
So far there is. Yeah, under looks good so far, but we've seen that in the CFL. Another big stick there by Jamal Roll, and another touch there for Hickson.
Well, take a look at the secondary too. I mean, Roll, Darby, Delicae, Richard Leonard, and Ciante Evans with 7 years of CFL experience. So great in the back end. Simone Lawrence, one of the best playmaking linebackers in the last 5 to 10 years in the Canadian Football League. And then the front 4 with Micah Johnson added to the Dylan Wynn, Ted Laurent, Julian Hauser group. And then I could do the same thing on the Saskatchewan defense.
You sure could.
I'll tell you what, this may be a lower scoring game.
Vedvik punting it away, and it is Lawrence Woods. After a punt at 39, part 1 of a doubleheader to wrap up week 1 of CFL 22, the kickoff weekend. We will head to BC Place, expecting a good crowd there to watch the Lions open up against the Edmonton Elks. That is coming up later tonight, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, here on TSN.
Get back to those defenses for a second. Now, A.C. Leonard, I mentioned he led the league in the shortened season in quarterback sacks. And if you're wondering, yeah, more than Willie Jefferson, more than Jeffcoat in Winnipeg.
Over the middle, complete. Dane Evans hits Poppy White for the first time this season. White, a big part late in the season for the Ticats in receiving, but also in returns, and a big first down finally for that Tiger Cat offense as they get it in Saskatchewan territory at the 50.
Yeah, this looks like a bust. I mean, Poppy White is wide open.
Working tempo and hitting Stephen Dunbar for his first catch.
When I say bust, I mean a broken coverage, a mistake in the back end. The defensive backs for the Riders, because Poppy White wide open on that slant route, and if he breaks one tackle, he's still running.
Picks up 4, Dunbar, so 2nd and 6. That receiving corps was so new last year with injuries to Addison and Brandon Banks. Tim White, Poppy White, Stephen Dunbar. Took them a while to gel. Passing now on the 2nd and 6. Evans, the pump fake to buy time, stepping up, running out of time, running out of room, taken down. Moncrief is there to meet him and force a 3rd down.
Well, that's That's that linebacking core reading and reacting so quickly, along with AC Leonard. And again, you know, Derek Moncrief, he could drop back and play free safety. They put Leonard almost as a linebacker on this play, and then he flows to the ball. Sankey is taking those crossing routes. Really no target for Dane Evans to find down the field, and this quarterback's got to get down quickly with both linebacking groups.
This will be a 52-yard field goal attempt for Michael Domagala in his second year at Carleton. He was 7 for 10 last year. His longest was 46. A chance for the Ticats to tie this game. Out and down. And does he tuck it in? He does. Domagala just inside that left upright to make it a 3-3 tie, and a good feeling for a Ticat place kicker when there was a bit of a tumultuous rule in 2021 with Domagala being one of the kickers. They rotated in a few, and now settling in for the Carleton grad who makes it a 3-3 game.
And a career high early in his young career. As far as distance, nails it, and if points are going to be hard to come by because of these defenses, it's a big one.
With the ball coming out to the 40, one of the new rules in the CFL. Give offenses a better head start after the field goal. For Cody Fajardo. Last play, first quarter. Looking off to his right, and his receiver fell down. Duke Williams slipped, and it falls incomplete. With that, as the jawing continues, that doesn't take a break just because it's quarter time. Turnover, field goal Saskatchewan. Hamilton just came back to tie it. All even through 15. A look at the numbers through the first quarter here at Mosaic, and the most important numbers, the scoreboard, just 3 points each in what has been a very good defensive battle, Glenn.
As noted, two great defenses, especially front sevens. You know, in the lead up to this game, we got a chance to Zoom with Duke Williams, and we asked him about his trash talking. He said he loves to do it. He does it in practice. It's part of what his personality and what makes him great. He loves it. And we asked him, well, who in the league do you jaw with more than anything? And without hesitation, he said, well, Simone Lawrence. And at the break, they started. Then they continued. And then, okay, now it's over, right? Now he's going back to his own. No, wait. Got a couple other things I want to say. Hang on. We're not done yet. Now, and then it's right back and forth. Both guys, they don't want to back down. They're just, that whole break, they were trash talking.
Didn't get a break at all. Now Saskatchewan and Duke Williams on the field, on offense. Started the second quarter, tied at 3. Fajardo to throw. Coverage is there. Jamal Rowland and Shaq Evans. By the way, we talked to Duke Williams earlier in the week, and as you referred to, he talked about a trash talker that can keep up with him and Simone Lawrence, but he did pay a lot of respect to him too, that he backs it up.
Well, that's
now, I'm sure he wasn't showing that respect now, but
yeah, but that's part of it. That's what he said. You know, you got to be able to back it up with your play. I mean, if you're trash talking and you're not a 1,000-yard receiver or getting to close to 100 tackles every year like Simone Lawrence, then it's just shallow, empty talk. But they can back it up, both those guys.
And that defense backing it up for Hamilton too, forcing Saskatchewan to punt, and Lawrence Woods at his 20. Woods, after a 52-yarder, cuts his way up to get a 12-yard return to the Hamilton 30. So Dane Evans, 5 for 8, 42 yards, 1 interception. Also coughed up a fumble that led to the 3 points for Saskatchewan on Hamilton's first possession.
Both these quarterbacks are going to have to be patient in this game tonight. Playing against great defenses, good front sevens. They're going to face pressure. Which quarterback tries to push it and force it? Low-scoring game is the prediction. We'll see. Can change quickly.
Looking off to his left, goes over the middle. Completes that one to Braylon Addison, who used to wear number 86, switching his number this year to 0.
Charleston Hughes on defense will be a rotational player, but he has been for a few years now. And in 2 years with Saskatchewan, not last because he was in Toronto last year, but 2 years in Saskatchewan, 31 sacks. And working up that sack total board. A good year this year. That was A.C. Leonard getting the job done. But a good year this year gets Charleston Hughes to 3rd all-time. A normal year for Charleston Hughes, and a normal year is 12 to 13, 14 sacks. He could be in 2nd place, and if he has an outstanding, unbelievable year and gets to 16, 17, he's 1st place all time after this season.
Great career of Charleston Hughes. After just 2 sacks last year with the Argos, he regretted leaving. He said that. Should have stayed in the green and white of Saskatchewan. Off the punt. Morrow to take it at the 40. Good field position coming up here after a punt of 36 yards for Cody Fajardo. And Saskatchewan, the opener, tied at 3. It's not just Regina when you're talking about the meaning of football here. It's throughout Saskatchewan. Let's go back to Sarah.
Absolutely, Rod. We know the work that CFL teams do in their communities. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders and their foundation, one of their initiatives is to help promote football in northern Saskatchewan communities. To that end, for the last 3 days, they have brought down 200 players from northern Saskatchewan football, as well as coaches and teachers. The players came down. They've had 2 days of camps, including yesterday at Mosaic, when a number of players from the Riders participated in it. They had a dinner last night here that Craig Dickinson spoke at, and then they are at the game here today as well. What a great experience for those players as well, and for the Riders to continue to promote football.
Oh, and the Riders certainly realize just how important this sport is throughout the province. Cody Fajardo took a late hit from Simone Lawrence, it appears, after he was taken down by Malik Carney, and there is a flag on the play.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 21. We're going to go up 15 yards. It's going to be 1st down.
Well, I mentioned he's an all-time linebacker when you think about his stats and his numbers, and Simone Lawrence, part of his career has been a few of these hits now. Hits that are right on that ragged edge of dirty, late at times. Cody Fajardo going down there, and he came from behind, hit him high in the head. That was the penalty. Fajardo shakes it off.
And stays in the game, and a 1st and 10. Saskatchewan now with a penalty inside Hamilton territory. Down inside their 50, the 47. Looking off to his left. Kean Schaefer-Baker with it. Gets it down to just inside the 40, and a good gain on 1st down.
Yeah, you could tell that Fajardo just still trying to recover from that hit. A good call offensively, just to give him that little wide receiver screen pass, nice high percentage throw, so he can settle back in.
On a 2nd and short now, 3 to go. Neither team has converted on 2nd down so far, and it won't happen here either with Jamal Morrow, the ball carrier. And might have it, actually. I might be jumping the gun here. He needed 3.
And I was going to say, Rod, too, that this might be in that area where Craig Dickinson looks at 3rd down. You're inside a yard or at a yard. You might just go for it here anyway.
They already have a couple of times in this game on 3rd and short. But to my point, they didn't get the 2nd down conversion.
Yes, no, yeah.
And that still hasn't happened. So.
They tried to run between the tackles. You know who plays between the tackles in the Hamilton defense? How about Dylan Wynn and Micah Johnson? And Micah Johnson, by the way, looks like this is a bit of a Charlie horse. Looking at that, possibly caught a cramp.
His previous 2 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders before signing on with Hamilton as a free agent as he gets up. And we were talking about how 3 excellent defensive tackles rotating in with the veteran Ted Laurent and Dylan Wynn, of course, now with Johnson. So a 3rd and short coming up for the Riders in a 3-3 tie. We'll be back. This was former Rider Micah Johnson getting set for his Ticat debut, but still lots of old friends to greet before the game.
Yeah, you love to play against your old teammates and old coaching staff, and they were out there. By the way, take a look at Micah Johnson. I think when he goes to the weight room is scared.
Looking really small, isn't he? Cody Fajardo goes to his right on that short yardage. That could just be that last bit enough to make sure they get the first down, but that didn't look as obvious as it often might in those situations.
Well, and I'm just going to say it because I like the call from Jason Moss after the hit from Simone Lawrence that was borderline on Fajardo that he was clearly shaken by. That hitch screen was a good call.
Is that he's short of the yards to gain. It's first down for Hamilton.
Well,
They didn't get there.
Turnover
and
on
they didn't get there. And I don't. And I was going to say I don't like this call from Jason Moss as he's still kind of shaking it off. And I know we had a break in there as well to ask him to go off the tackle and try and get this on his own. Like first contact, he's not there. He didn't get it there. And they must have called his progress dead right at that spot because he did roll to first down territory. And now Craig Dickinson wants to challenge us and take another look at the spot of the football, which you can on third down.
They said they didn't need much. I mean, maybe a foot and a half to get that first down. And it looked like, now it's hard to tell, very scientific up here, that he might have just had enough, and certainly did have enough with that lunge. But
Saskatchewan is challenging the ruling on the field of the spot. They believe first down yardage was gained. The play will be reviewed.
Have a look.
See, it took a couple of extra steps for Fajardo to actually get into that D line, but that roll, he's got it. It just depends on when they think or when they interpreted that the play was dead. Is it dead now?
Right.
Or is it dead now? And that's, I think, what's under review.
Well, given where he came down, it looks like they called it before that lunge.
Kyle Wilson stepped right into the hole.
So will they decide his forward progress had stopped?
Yeah, that's what's under review right now.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. It's first down for Hamilton. Saskatchewan loses their timeout.
So in a day dominated by defense so far, it is Hamilton with a big turnover now on down, stopping Saskatchewan with the ball at their 42.
You know, I like the challenge from Craig Dickinson. I think it was worth the gamble to go ahead and try that in that situation. Hard to win it always in short yardage.
Fans here at Mosaic don't like it. And a deep ball right away from Evans into coverage, and there was a chance there for Tim White.
They don't like the
fingertips on him.
They don't like the result of it. I'm not sure if they like the challenge or not. But, you know, in fairness to the ruling, which, you know, clearly they're saying the forward momentum for Fajardo was stopped. And that's why the play was then stopped dead short of the first down. If you think of it, if they allow quarterbacks to get hit 3 or 4 times.
Hamilton, number 56. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll replay first down.
There can be, you know, there can be a downside to not a quick whistle there, basically. That's what I'm getting at.
And on that play, wouldn't have mattered had White caught it anyway. Kyle Saxlett was called for the hold, and there is an injured player down for Hamilton. And it is Kyle Saxlett who is hurt.
Up at the top of your screen, he just bull rushed from Pete Robertson. Hurt his knee right away, grabbed that and pulled him down as he went down.
Saxlett, who came over from Edmonton via trade in his Ticats debut, and still getting treated here on the field at Mosaic. We'll be back. There is always something new on Crave. Don't miss exclusive shows and the latest hit movies streaming this June. Plan starting at $9.99 per month on Crave. Penalty against Hamilton, holding for Kyle Saxlett, who was injured on the play, in for Travis Vorncall at left tackle.
Frustrated.
1st and 20 on the hold, and that one is complete as David Unger with his first catch gets up, and then he slides down around the 40 and still several yards away.
Nick Marshall, I think, thought he touched him when he was down, and Unger just continued to play because he didn't hear a whistle, and that's a big play by Unger on the outside. Slant route, pressure from Dane Evans. I don't think he did touch him.
Picked up 13, getting up, running. Unger, 2nd and 7 now. Evans, more heat, down he goes again. Saskatchewan, big Charbel de Beer in there to take down the Ticats QB.
Part of the rotation. Charbel de Beer will be in there at Wagner College. He'll play in the interior with Lanier and Marino. Let's see, good push on the center, Alex Fontana. Fontana's got a holding call and had some trouble on that play.
One of the newcomers to that Ticats O-line punting away now. Larrier for Hamilton. Morrow waits it out, picks it up. Of course, all no yards. You see Hamilton holding back, but all no yards is 15 yards now for a 42-yard punt.
This flag was thrown way back of where the returner Morrow was. Indicate more of a holding type call than a no yards from that distance.
Yeah, it didn't look like anybody.
Yeah.
Morrow was trying to draw them in, but it didn't look like the Ticats were biting there.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 35. Will go up 15 yards. It's going to be 1st down.
That's on the punter, Larrier. Called for unnecessary roughness.
I think Coach Steinauer just had the same reaction we did. What? The punter got an unnecessary roughness call.
Not something you often see.
No, who was it?
Simon Larrier. His flag, 1st year out of Abilene Christian from Scottsdale, Arizona. So with the penalty, pushed up to the 47, Saskatchewan. Defensive ball game so far. Yards at a premium. Some of them picked up there near midfield. That is Frankie Hickson in his 1st year out of Liberty. So what happened on that penalty?
Larry, it was a illegal hit. It's up to the top of your screen here on the left side. Watch the hit in the back. Now the punter can come down and recover it. They don't have to stay 5 yards back. But that wasn't a good decision.
Got a little word with his head coach, Orlando Steinauer, on that. And good play up front defensively again. Dylan Wynn is in there on Hickson and Simone Lawrence for a loss in that play.
They're going to have to scratch and claw for every inch in this game. I mean, that's the type of game this is because of the line play. That's a couple of 2nd and shorts that the Riders have been just shut down because of that front 4, the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
These two teams combined are 0 for 15 in 2nd down conversions. That's how tough the defenses have been. To hem the Ticats in deep inside the 10. So tough spot for Dane Evans to come back and go to work. And more on him now from Sarah.
Well, Rod, Dane Evans for the first time stayed up in Canada during the off-season. He and his wife are expecting a child, and they decided to stay up. So he said that he's really been working on the installs for this training camp since February or March with offensive coordinator Tommy Condell. And so he felt very comfortable going into this training camp. Also, he's used to sharing reps 50-50 really with Jeremiah Masoli, but this season, obviously, with being the starter, he got about 60% of the reps during training camp. We'll see whether or not that's able to translate and help him out here in this game.
Picks up some yardage there on the sweep to Tim White. Thank you, Sarah. And a 1st down to get a little bit of breathing room for that Ticat offense.
There's Matthew Schultz, who will be the backup to Dane Evans. Has had a very good training camp. Coach Steinauer raved about how important he's been for Dane Evans. But I think what Sarah mentioned about the reps alone, where Jeremiah Mazzoli and he were splitting #1 reps throughout training camp the last couple of years, that's going to make a big difference for Dane.
On the ground again. For a team that didn't run a lot in 2021, Don Jackson only played in 4 games for the Ticats in the regular season last year.
So now Tommy Condell can really, create the playbook based on all of what Dane Evans does well. When you have almost a two-quarterback system like they've had in the past, you have what Mazzoli likes better and what Dane Evans likes better, and then you have to juggle that as they go in and out. But this is Dane's show now.
Jackson picked up 3. 2nd and 7. Hamilton from their 22, complete to Poppy White. There's another Hamilton first down. White with a good gain, getting it up across the 40 for the Ticats with their best drive in this young game.
Yeah, nice route by Poppy White. He takes advantage of the fact that Nick Marshall, who plays that short side corner and likes to bait quarterbacks. He already has a pick and a good press coverage move. But he was wrong that time. He guessed wrong.
Another inside toss there to Tim White. Doesn't have much that time around.
Former Auburn starting quarterback Nick Marshall threw for over 4,500 yards in 2 years for Auburn as their starter. But so he wants to anticipate and jump routes and bait quarterbacks into throwing him picks. But sometimes when you do that, you guess wrong and you get an open receiver. Poppy White, that 2 plays ago, that's what happened.
Ticats started inside their 10. They're up to their 43 now in a 2nd and 8. Under pressure, getting away, quickly dumped it off for the fullback, Felix Garan-Goche, but he cannot hang on, just a little bit ahead of him, and once again, it is 3rd down in a punting situation for Hamilton. But they did manage to shift the field, at least, when they were hemmed in deep.
Well, field position in low-scoring defensive battles, that field position is so important. Couple first downs, shifts the field position. Now it makes Cody Fajardo work out of the hole. And you get a turnover defensively down there, automatic points.
Two back.
Simon Larrier to punt it again, about the 34. Taken by Morrow. After a punt of 40, gets it up across the 35. So back comes Cody Fajardo, CFL's leading passer in 2019. Production dropping off a bit in 2021, but still has the confidence of his head coach, Greg Dickinson.
Cody wants to be great. That's what it tells you. He's not satisfied with just being good, which he's more than good, but he wants to be great. And I think he realizes to take that step, he's got to put in the time and really, with a fine-tooth comb, go through his play and figure out how can I get just a little bit better across the board.
Going to work here. As the pocket collapses, he dumps it off nicely to Morrow. There's some yardage for the Riders. Jamal Morrow across midfield and down to the Hamilton 42 before he is taken down.
Yeah, heads-up play. We often hear when we have Zoom calls with coaches or quarterbacks, we hear from both that your quarterback is really your point guard. And he just has to distribute the rock to the playmakers. That looked like a point guard, didn't it? Little dish to Jamal Morrow.
Reminiscent of Zach Collaros last night against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Had a play like that. That picked up 30 for the Riders. Hamilton territory. Morrow this time taking it right side and not much doing as he tries to push it down to the 40. A couple of yards. Clock ticking down to 3 minutes. And the warning comes out. Saskatchewan. It's still tied. They may have a chance to take the lead before the half.
If you're at home and you love defense, this game is for you. Who on this panel loves defense?
That
One,
is.
two.
I do.
Milt Sauer.
Not as much as I love offense, but I
One
love
offensive
defense.
player, sour. We'll break it all
Sour.
down.
We
Coming
need
up at the half.
points.
Yeah.
You should too.
Hey, Kate, I know Davis likes his defense. Not sure about Matty and Milt. I think they can appreciate it. We'll see. We're going to hear about that at halftime from the panel. Offense here. Oh, into heavy coverage for Duke Williams, who jumps up but just a bit too far. And looks like Deontay Evans a little slow to get up.
Kyle Saxlett, we saw injured earlier. They're going to take him off on the cart and examine that knee. He had replaced Travis Warncall, and Warncall will go back, which means Sean Thomas Erlington, likely the tailback, as Orlando Steinauer works with the Canadian ratio.
Saxlett in his third year. This was his Ticats debut. He did the previous two with the Edmonton Elks. So unfortunately for him, hurt and taken off. And Micah Johnson was injured earlier, but back in there. And a field goal try coming up here on 3rd and 8 for Brett Lother. 48-yard attempt for the veteran kicker for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and like Dom Magala before him, tucked it in that left upright to give Saskatchewan the 3-point lead again. They started it after a turnover on a shorter field goal by Lother. Orlando Steinauer, Hall of Famer, about to be officially made in the class of 2021 because of the pandemic. Of course, the inductions were slowed down, so the Hall of Fame game, oh, what a day in Hamilton next Saturday, a week from today. The Stampeders, Ticats, and look at those classes. My friend Henry Burris, the headliner there. And
how about Nick Lewis?
Nick Lewis too.
Will Johnson, great pass rushers in the game's history.
John Hufnagel, Marv Levy, the legendary coach, both sides of the border, won a couple of Grey Cups with the Montreal Alouettes.
Who, by the way, is such a great ambassador for Canadian football and always has been.
Continues to be in his 90s. Sean Thomas Erlington, you mentioned that name in there, and the Ticats offense, and it's a good gain there on first down, 2nd and short for Hamilton.
Played in 12 games in 21, and an average over 5 yards rushing per carry for Sean Thomas Erlington.
In his 5th year at the University of Montreal. Crowd picking up late in the half. The half, Saskatchewan now leads by just 3. Defenses have dominated. It's Tim White again, trying that sweep. Nowhere to go. Larry Dean finally getting to make his Rider debut. Former Ticat linebacker, then went to Edmonton and suffered an Achilles injury before training camp for the Riders and didn't play at all in 2021.
Yeah, Larry Dean plays this so well. I mean, he's at the left of your screen and he steps up. He has to stay wide because he knows he has contained. So he stays wide, stays in containment, takes on the pulling guard Jesse Gibbon and turns it inside, then makes the tackle.
Simon Larrier back to punt. Under 2 minutes until halftime. Takes off as much time as he can and gets it away for Morrow. Catches that on the run, and Morrow gets it up to the 35. Kate Burness, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, Davis Sanchez, they are standing by for their thoughts and how much they love defense. Gotta love some defense, and we certainly had a little bit of that here. That Saskatchewan would like to change a little bit now. We shall see. And 1:39 before we head back to the studio and hear from them. There's a veteran, great defensive player in Ted Laurent, one of the rotating tackles for Hamilton. From the Saskatchewan 35 and throwing to the fullback Albert Awachi for his first touch in 2022.
You know, when you look at the D lines for both these teams, let's start with Hamilton because they're out there. I mean, Dylan Wynn and Micah Johnson in the middle, and we've talked about Ted Laurent. So one of the ways you can beat a good D line is with screens. You throw the little screens to your running back, tailback, or receivers in behind the line. The only problem with that is both these teams have great linebacking cores. Then they fly to the screen, and you still don't have a play.
That's the problem these offenses have been facing, both of them. A 2nd and 3. Hamilton has done very well in Saskatchewan second downs, and Fajardo airs that out. Got a lot underneath that, and he completes it to, no, he doesn't. They'd say incomplete. Looked like Kean Schaefer-Baker had it with Seontae Evans in coverage. So once again, they failed to convert on a 2nd down try.
Yeah, Seontae Evans stays with this. So it looked like Kean Schaefer-Baker, he got vertical, and he had it in his hands. But Seontae Evans did what a DB has to do on a deep route like that with the ball in the air. Shoot that right hand up through the hands of the receiver. Go from the bottom up through it so that when you get to the top of that jump, you are ripping it between the two hands of the receiver. If you go outside of that, the receiver can rip it down. That's perfectly played by Seontae Evans.
Nicely done by Evans. 2nd year with the Ticats, and now
Davis Sanchez is back in the studio is loving that. I'm telling you right now, because he was a corner, and that's exactly how you fight through it. If Seontae Evans took that right hand and he put it outside of Kean Schaefer-Baker's frame, Schaefer-Baker makes that catch. But it's a small, subtle little fundamental that you shoot up between the hands, and then you got a chance to rip it out.
So Saskatchewan takes the time count. Panelists, I know from being in studio, you got to submit your requests early for footage you want to talk about at the half. That would be a late request.
Okay,
if Ches wants to do that.
Okay.
But if it's important enough for him, I'm not trying to produce their show from here.
Meanwhile, Milt is looking for. Did someone make an offensive play somewhere?
When it comes to defense, here's Poppy White in a good return up over the 50. When it comes to defense, they have all sorts of choices. They had the Rollins picked out a while ago, I'm sure. The RBC Canadian Open wraps up tomorrow with final round coverage as the best in golf tee off from St. George's Golf and Country Club in Toronto. You can tune in 3 Eastern, noon Pacific exclusively on TSN with Tony Finau making a move 11 under par in a tie with Rory McIlroy to lead the way at the Canadian Open. Setting up a draw for Don Jackson, and Riders not biting on that. Charleston Hughes in there to take him down.
Again, screen draw. Screen draw is how you can beat a D-line. You let the D-line get up the field, and you either screen it behind them or draw it between them. But it's broken. Those plays don't work if you have active linebackers, all-star linebackers that can get there. So you might get it behind A.C. Leonard, but Darnell Sankey, Larry Dean, and Moncrief are right back there ready to fly to the football.
It's at the 53 now, a 2nd and 10. Late in the half, seconds to go. Can they get in field goal range? Poppy White in the receiving end. And that will certainly help. Inside the 50, Michael Domagala had one from 52 yards. For the Ticats' only point in this game. Getting close now.
Got him up on the line of scrimmage, a little out to the sideline. I think they're just a little short.
They are. It's 3rd and about a foot and a half. They make some substitutions in there. Matthew Schultz, been a short yardage quarterback before with the Montreal Alouettes.
Don't want to waste too much time here.
26 seconds on the clock. Schultz goes left side. He has the first down. So the sticks move. They get it to the 46. It would take about a 53-yarder. And time for a couple of plays on this first down to see if they can get closer for Domagala.
A couple if you're very efficient. I would say, yeah, one offensive play and then the kick. That's probably what you're looking at. One quick out.
With it ticking down to 17. The one play, and it is complete to Braylon Addison. Addison gets it down to about the 40, his furthest advancement there as they hustle up. 13 seconds now, and trying to get one more in before the field goal try, and There is a rider down on the field. As Michael Domagala looks on and waits for his turn that appears to be coming soon. Roland Milligan, number 0 for Saskatchewan, the injured player.
Yeah, training camp made the team, made the starting lineup. Take a look at what happens to him. Looks like he maybe a stinger got right on that right shoulder. Stingers are tough, man. You get, you know, you recover from after a few minutes, but your hand gets all numb and tingly, and that looks exactly like what happened there.
Milligan got in one game in 2021 for the Riders. That was in Hamilton, and getting the start of this season, but heading off now. 13 seconds to go.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
You play it well. The clock runs. Don Jackson maybe a yard and 6 seconds, and it is time now for Michael Domagala out of Carleton in his second year, and that field goal unit to come on. He's 1 for 1, and a big one too from 52 yards away. This would be around 46. He puts the tee down.
Well, you know, it's interesting on that last play call, because you would think maybe you take a shot deep at one. If you have one play, you take a shot deep, see if you can score the major before the half. But I think you're seeing respect for both defenses when you just run the ball, put your field goal team out to end the half.
To tie it at halftime for Domagala. Heads off the upright and no good. He had flirted with that post on his previous kick, and that time from 46. He doesn't get it. So 9 points on the board in the form of 3 field goals. 2 of them for Saskatchewan, and the 1 after that for Hamilton. Let's go back to Kate in the studio. Back at Mosaic Stadium in Regina, halftime, and it is a defensive battle. The Riders lead by 3. Here's Sarah now with the new Tie-Cat, Micah Johnson.
Micah, a defensive battle out there. Or when you look at that first half, what stood out to you most about the play of your defense?
We just kept grinding. They're going to make plays, but we just have to stay with it, stay the course. We know adversity is going to hit, so just as a team, we got to stay together, keep grinding.
You spent the last 2 seasons here as a rider, Corey. You know the tendencies of Cody Fajardo. How do you make sure that he doesn't get into any sort of rhythm?
Just try to keep him in the pocket. When Cody gets out, starts escaping, that's when it gets real dangerous. So for us as a D-line, we're just going to try to keep him in the pocket the best we can.
Appreciate the time.
All right.
Hey, no offense if all you want in this game is points. We got some pretty good defenses going here.
Yeah, I'm not one that believed in that narrative from the get-go. I think if you have a one-possession game going into the 4th, you've got some drama. You've got what we love about professional sports, any sport. Get down to those final 3 minutes. Most exciting in any sport in the world, Canadian Football League. So it's a tight one. It's defense. We're seeing the defensive lines go to work tonight.
Michael Domagala to kick off this second half. The Ticats trailing by 3. On the move, Jamal Morrow at his 20. Oh, the ball comes out. Big turnover to start the second half, and this time it goes Hamilton's way. Curtis Newton picks that one up off the fumble by Morrow. And what a big break. Sean Thomas Erlington was in there too in the special teams tackle. And what a way to start for the Ticats.
Morrow goes up the field to his left and then tries to cut it back to a wide return, and Sean Thomas Erlington tackles the football. He hits the ball in that right arm and pops it out of there. Early turnover and great field position.
To start the first half, it was Saskatchewan with the big play.
Screen.
Setting up that screen, but no for Braylon Addison, and it falls incomplete at the 35.
See, that's how you try and beat it. You know, that's an adjustment that offensive coordinators are going to try to make. Tommy Condell goes in there after this fumble generated by Thomas Erlington. They try and go screen. Again, watch the hit. It's right on the football. That's what you get coached up on the teams or on defense. Tackle the football.
Thomas Erlington in, and Kyle Wilson too as that popped out, and Newton recovered. So good special teams play. Hamilton when they need it. Crowd picking up. They start down by 3. Evans on the second down dumps it off to Thomas Erlington, and he has enough to get a first down around the Saskatchewan 22, just inside.
You know, we talked about in our first game, Calgary, Montreal, about these late draft picks. You think about University of Montreal, Sean Thomas, Erling 31 is going to catch this little swing pass into the backfield, creates a turnover on the teams covering them, and then comes up with a big play for a first down. This was a 8th round, 66th overall pick back in 2017. Doesn't matter where you get picked, doesn't matter if you walk on, free agent, go out there and show what you can do. He's been a great Canadian, and I want to say he's in over 40 football games since being an 8th round draft pick. Many of them as a starter.
Had 356 yards last year in the shortened season, but you're right, he had an explosive start in 2019. They were giving him the ball. He went to Montreal, back home, the game against the Alouettes, and unfortunately suffered a knee injury and had to miss the balance of the season. But you could see the potential. You're right about that young Canadian running back who took some time to get off the field, but seems to be okay now.
Vanier Cup champ.
With the Montreal Canavan. 1st and 10 at the 21. No. Right in the mix for Saskatchewan is Roland Milligan, who was injured earlier in the game and back to break that one up.
Again, you have to throw it with that front 7 coming after you both sides. You got to get rid of it as a quarterback in this game. So it's a quick play action fake. Here comes Larry Dean up the middle on the delayed blitz. So that ball had to get out of there, and Milligan was right in stride with White.
Intended for Tim White. 2nd down at the Saskatchewan 21. Ticats under pressure again, gets it away, has enough for a first down and goal, and that is Braylon Addison on the receiving end for Hamilton, threatening now.
Dane Evans just scrapping and clawing and trying to figure out a way to get the answer and to get some points on the board. Watch his pocket awareness here. He's going to step up in the pocket. Larry Dean again on a delayed blitz. AC Leonard in his face, finds a target for a first down.
The Ticats have not led in this game. Saskatchewan scored first. 3 field goals, that's it. Nobody's found the end zone. Evans looking there now.
Got him.
Wide open, touchdown Ticats, but a flag is down. Lots of flags down. Stephen Dunbar.
Holding Hamilton, number 53.
Sees that TD.
We're going to replay first down.
All for naught as the center, Alex Fontana, is called for the hold, so no touchdown. Ticats.
His 2nd holding call of the night. He's obviously the guy with the ball in his hands right now. He's got to get it back there to Dane Evans. Working on Garrett Marino there, and well, that's not just holding, that's a tackle. That's a takedown. Garrett Marino in his pro day bench pressed 225 41 times.
It's a strong man up the middle, and
you think?
That
41 times
clearly made a difference too, that allowed Evans to get that pass away. So here we go again in a 1st and goal, further back, and they get to him. Saskatchewan up front. Mike Adam, the safety, on that blitz coming in and takes down Dane Evans to push the Ticats further back.
Yeah, Jason Shivers is going to work. I mean, he's right now, he is the defensive coordinator for Saskatchewan. Is just mixing all kinds of different things. Derek Moncrief's back here as a safety. There's Mike Adam coming in on the blitz. So now you take the safety, you put him up in the box, and you put Moncrief back in coverage because he can get away with it. He can do it. Send Darnell Sankey as well. Boy, it's hard to read that kind of thing.
2nd and goal from nearly the 30. Shuffling it off to Jake Burt for his 2nd touch of his young CFL career, and Mike Adam in on that tackle on Burt. So they got close. Goal to go inside the 10, but since then by penalty and by pressure.
I tell you what, this is fun to watch as a defender, like a former defensive back and safety. This is great. There's Moncrief. Watch Darnell Sankey drop here, and then Edem is going to come up and make this play. I mean, who is the safety? If you're Dane Evans, you're going back to that tablet and going, okay, where are these guys coming from?
Michael Domagala with flags coming out just as the ball was snapped, so the kick was good, but they'll have to try it again. No play.
Well, it was 2nd and 28. So this is just basically about, is it 5 yards closer on the field goal attempt or 5 yards back on the field goal attempt? And I think that's what Steinhauer said right there. He says, yeah, well, whatever. When these defensive coordinators are going to work, I think it was Milt that said it at halftime. We've got two great young coordinators, and Jason Shivers right there on your screen, and Mark Washington on the other sideline, and they're like mad chemists mixing things up. But you can do that when you've got the athletes that are on the field right now.
Domagala, 1 for 2. Mark Washington.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 6. This is a 5-yard penalty. It's still 3rd down.
So all that for an offside by A.C. Leonard to close it in a little further. 5 yards closer for Michael Domagala. As mentioned, is 1 for 2. He hit from 52 in the first quarter, and he missed one, put it off the left upright late in the half from 46 yards. It would have tied the game. Another chance to tie it now for Domagala and the Tiger Cats. No problem, splits the uprights there, so he goes 2 for 3. All field goals so far. A big turnover to set up the Ticats, though. But Hamilton sees Saskatchewan's defense stand strong again after that. All even at 6. Part 1 of a Saturday doubleheader in the CFL on TSN. We have the Elks and Lions, and later tonight from Vancouver we'll have a special performance from One Republic. That is prior to the Elks Lions season opener, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, after we're done here.
Laura Bowl, BC Place, sold out. Congratulations to Amar Doman, to the
After the
entire
play,
staff.
we had a major foul misconduct, post-play unnecessary roughness foul against Saskatchewan in 91. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's 1st down.
He's the new owner. Entire staff. Now he will tell you, and everything I've heard from BC ownership group is that he knows that this is just a start, and he's going to be there for the long haul. But over 30,000 expected at BC Place tonight. Can't wait to watch that one, and a young Nathan Rourke get started.
Same here. Looking forward to that one too, from a good crowd at BC Place. A penalty has Cody Fajardo starting further back, and he's on the run now. Escapes it and gets out of bounds at around the 30. But normally after a field goal is scored against the Riders, they would start at the 40. Anthony Lanier was penalized, so that 15 yards had them start at the 25. But a gain of about 6 yards on the run for Cody Fajardo.
Yeah, Dylan Wynn right in here. In the break, we got a little Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama on the big screen and things, and Dylan Wynn was just grooving to it. He's a guitar player, I think. You got the pressure on Cody there.
Big guitar player. Deep ball.
Shot.
Oh, what a nice catch by Shaq Evans. Beautiful pass by Fajardo to drop it right in for Shaq Evans.
Well, this is one strategy to get away from that rush, is to throw it on time, especially against press. Now, these two guys have worked really hard in the offseason before camp even started on getting back to this kind of connection like they had in 2019. It was a struggle. Shaq Evans was hurt in 21, and the chemistry just wasn't there between quarterback and receiver, but they worked hard on it, and they're real optimistic that it'll be back. That was a good start in game 1.
Longest play from scrimmage today. A gain of 41 yards. Cody Fajardo to Shaq Evans. Riders in business inside the Ticat 40 on the toss. Right. Kean Schaefer-Baker tries the hurdle. A la Vernon Adams. A la Eugene Lewis. Kean Schaefer Schaefer Baker with some hops there on that rare carry for number 89.
Yeah, he's going to get a lead block out and around the corner. Getting some help. It's kind of student body to the right to get out in front of Schaefer Baker, who's playing tailback, but watch the blocking out in front of him. Just everybody get out there to the right. Evan Johnson out in front trying to seal it, and up over the top of 3 or 4 Hamilton tacklers.
What is this, hurdle week? Saw it a couple of times in the Montreal-Calgary game. Schaefer Baker, a good gain there, and 2nd and inches for the Riders inside the Ticat 40.
I was going to say that going deep in a one-on-one matchup on the outside, it is a way to beat a good front 7, because you basically take 11 players out of the scenario, and you can throw that ball on time. So if you're Cody Fajardo or Dane Evans, you get that ball in shotgun, 1 step, throw the fade route, and now it's a one-on-one with your receiver in the DB.
Worked out great a couple of plays ago. Then Schaefer Baker had the run. 1st and 10. Hamilton trying to stop the Saskatchewan offense as they've done much of the game. Keenan LaFrance with his first carry of the season, and not much doing against that Ticat front.
Yeah, Keenan LaFrance. They've got Jamal Morrow on the roster at the tailback spot too. We've seen a little of him, and Frankie Hickson as well, who made the team this year as a rookie out of Liberty.
And Morrow had been busy on special teams in that first half. Great returner. Keenan LaFrance, veteran now for the University of Manitoba. 5th player to run the ball tonight for Saskatchewan, and flags out before the snap.
That's Schaefer Baker.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 89. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
I don't know the play call, but I do know that I bet Schaefer Baker had a corner route, and he was trying to get a jump on that waggle motion to the line of scrimmage, and he wasn't just in the neutral zone. He was 3 or 4 yards across the line of scrimmage.
He was their top rookie last year, to some a steal in the draft of 2020 when he went in the 4th round, 30th overall. Certainly a talent for Saskatchewan, product of the University of Guelph. And the Hamilton 31, Fajardo on the move again at a 2nd and 13. Inside the 30, inside the 25. He is bumped there by Alden Darby. And that is still shy of a 1st down.
Well, Micah Johnson talking to Sarah on the sideline at the half break. He said this is what we got to make sure we do against number 7 in the 2nd half, to keep him in the pocket. Once he gets out there and has the option of throwing or running, now I'm sure Craig Dickinson will say, listen, it might be better to hook slide just before you take that big hit or get out of bounds. But Micah Johnson called it. He said, got to keep him in the pocket.
Brett Lother from the 30 to give the Riders the lead. Lother is 3 for 3. On a night of field goals so far, but Saskatchewan answered back. They lead it 9-6. Physical game tonight here at Mosaic. We asked Craig Dickinson what the Riders need to take that next step.
I just felt like we needed to get bigger and stronger across the board. And that meant get bigger and stronger up front on the offensive line, and believe it or not, get bigger and stronger on the defensive line. So we put a heavy emphasis this offseason on recruiting the right kind of guys for those 2 positions. We feel like we got a pretty good bunch.
Pretty good bunch, putting more pressure on Dane Evans there after that play action fake. He ends up throwing it out of bounds on that Ticat 1st down.
Well, if they wanted to get bigger and stronger, you get Anthony Lanier at 6'6" and closing in on about 300 pounds. They list him at 285. I don't think he's an ounce under 300. And then you get Garrett Marino in there, who, as I mentioned, can bench press a house. I think in the interior of their D-line, they got bigger and stronger, that's for sure. I mean, these guys were there, don't get me wrong, but now they're more experienced, big and strong in the middle.
41 reps at 2 1/4. That impresses me, I'll tell you. For Marino. Pressure there. Down he goes. Coming in is Larry Dean on the blitz. the former Ticat, helping take Dane Evans down and force the Ticats to punt it away again.
Well, the guy we just talked about at 6'6", I'm going to call him 300, even though it's listed 285. Watch this bull rush on an all-star. Chris Van Zyl, nice step out. He's got position, but he just bull rushes by him. He forces Dane Evans up into the pocket, right into the arms of Larry Dean.
This is the Saskatchewan debut for Larry Dean, who missed all of last season with an Achilles injury suffered just before training camp started, a day when 4 riders got hurt with the same injury. Enjoying playing again today, I'm sure, after a play like that especially. The Saskatchewan has the ball back. Jamal Morrow. Good special teams tackle by the long snapper Gordon White, product of St. FX, coming in to take Morrow down. Here comes Dean, ex-Ticat. His new team, the Riders, have the ball, and they have the 3-point lead. Interesting head coaching matchup tonight. 2 men, Orlando Steiner and Craig Dickinson, in their 3rd year as a head coach, but both have been around the league a long time, Suits, and both have had success.
Well, they have a similar approach, and I think that approach is to coach the culture and to empower their team and their players to take control of their own locker rooms, and then coach them as people first and players second. Outstanding individuals on and off the field. They're going to be around as head coaches for a long, long time.
On the first down, Fajardo goes down deep to the right this time for Evans. He hit him on a big play for 41 yards. The previous time that went out of bounds and incomplete. Tunde Adeleke is there. But you talk about the head coaches. In both of their cases, they lost to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the final game, in the West Final, and back-to-back years for Dickinson and for Steinauer, of course, in the Grey Cup.
Yeah, that's their hurdle.
Winnipeg.
I mean, it is in the last 2 years for every team in the league. But, yeah, I mean, for Craig Dickinson, get to the West Final back-to-back years and then lose to the Bombers both years. And then in the Cup for Orlando Steinauer.
Over the middle, Fajardo, and it's complete to Duke Williams. Another big completion. As you hear the crowd chanting Duke as he gets that one inside the Hamilton 40, and here comes that Saskatchewan offense on a gain to 24.
Yeah, you get crosser routes with the deeper one to Duke, and this is the Fajardo's going to have to hold the ball an extra steamboat here and take a little bit of contact. There's Shaq on the crosser and Duke across the top. He'll take the deeper one as he pulls Santos Knox a little bit closer to Shaq Evans.
Handing off now, Jamal Morrow on the carry, left side, and fights for the yardage.
One of the adjustments here for Jason Moss is to push the ball a little bit. And that whether you complete them or not can actually get the defensive backfield to back up a step or two. Matt Dunnigan used to say it to me all the time. He'd walk over and warm up and go, "You never go wrong when you go long." And that was just to plant a little seed in my head to back up. And I hate to say it, but it worked occasionally.
Yeah, 16 liked to sling it, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Did a lot of that successfully in his CFL career. Hall of Famer. There you go on 2nd down and 6. Completed to Justin McInnes, his first catch of this game.
Against his own, and then a good tackle.
To hold them to 3rd down and 3, so not enough for that first down. For McInnes in his 3rd year out of Arkansas State, drafted in the 1st round, 6th overall in 2019 by the Riders. Brett Lother again. Ball will be spotted at the Hamilton 39. Lother is 3 for 3, trying to make it a 6-point game now. Vedvik the holder. Jorgen Hughes with the snap, and the kick going between the uprights again. 4 for 4. Brett Lother. Back comes the offense for Hamilton, and the veteran Chris Van Zyl. Sarah will have more on him coming up. He is 38 years young in the midst of a Hall of Fame career, 2-time Grey Cup champion, the 2019 most outstanding offensive lineman, Chris Van Zyl. Back to Sarah.
Rod, obviously, I mean, lengthy credentials when it comes to Chris Van Zyl. You mentioned the 2 Grey Cup wins he had with the Argonauts, but obviously the disappointment the last 2 seasons with the Ticats losing in the Grey Cup games to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He told us he was still thinking about this most recent loss in March. He hasn't won, or he hasn't watched the game. He told us that 2021 hurt that much more than 2019 because it was played in Hamilton. He's from the area. There was a lot of disappointment and obviously expectation that went along with that team. And this is something the Riders are going to have to deal with this year, having the Grey Cup in their own backyard, obviously. November 20th, the Riders want to be playing in the Grey Cup, just like Hamilton was last year.
And Sarah, being in Burlington between Toronto and Hamilton, those years with the Argos, of course, but Van Zyl, as he get a run here from Braylon Addison. Van Zyl played his university ball at McMaster in Hamilton, and Hamilton is certainly in his blood. And how much would he like to see a Grey Cup back in Hamilton?
Well, 3rd round pick from McMaster by the Montreal Alouettes back in 08, was originally cut, went back at it. Toronto for what, 10 years? And it's taken a little time, but Hamilton has now embraced him as their own.
And he was a defensive lineman. They converted him. He went into the CFL. Not a bad career as an offensive lineman.
Hard when you play for the rival down the road to make the transition, but players have pulled it off, like Michael O'Shea and Chris Van Zyl, another play by the defense. But you know, I look at that career and Chris Van Zyl, and you know, he's one of the guys where it just, with the narratives over the last few months, it makes you proud. He's been a tackle his entire career, and the outstanding lineman, and oh yeah, Canadian.
A great one he is and has been, and didn't work out for him in that offense that time, though. In a 2nd and 1, they were stuffed, pushed back a little bit, so 3rd down as the punting team comes on.
I'm not sure which of these 2 teams, when you think about it, are struggling with the way their seasons end. You know, like you lose in the West Final 2 years earlier, Hamilton, and you lose in the Cup. I mean, you get right there on the porch and can't get the door broken down. Van Zyl saying that one last year hurt more. They were closer, first of all.
And looking back at that, as we saw in that graphic in the 80s, that it was a big loss to Winnipeg in 84, big loss to BC in 85, and 3rd time they did. 3rd time per term, they knocked down the door. They beat Edmonton.
So you're saying
there's always a chance for Hamilton. So you're saying there's a chance for the Riders too, to be sure. Chance for everybody. This is the opening week in the Canadian Football League season, and right now Hamilton has to punt inside their 50. They're down by 6. The new punter, Simon Larrier, gets it away to Morrow. Near the sideline, and he manages to find 5 yards on that return before greeted by Kyle Wilson.
Yeah, we got 1 game to go. I mean, the BC Lions will play Edmonton after this one in the doubleheader, but I would say after the first 3 games of the 2022 season, the word that comes to mind is parity. I mean, you look across the board, and yeah, okay, maybe you've ranked Edmonton and BC a little lower on your board to start the season. We'll see what they do tonight after this one, but the teams that I've seen, including Ottawa last night, vastly improved, pushed Winnipeg to the brink, 1 possession games in back-to-back nights, and this one looking like it's coming down to the same thing.
Dramatic finishes to stop. Duke Williams, another big catch. Hear it from the crowd as he gets up near midfield, as he is warming up in the 2nd half.
Just a little soft spot there, and again, this uncharacteristic. It looked like they dropped to a little bit of a zone defense. Micah Johnson not really getting a push up the field, and Duke Williams find the soft spot right on the new hash marks.
4 catches for 55 yards for Duke Williams. Marked right at the hash at the Saskatchewan 52. Could be the final play of the 3rd quarter. And Schaefer Baker ran into Williams as he tried to turn it up. 2 seconds still, so it looks like we'll give him another play right around midfield. Ticats head home next week to play in that Hall of Fame game. They'll host the Calgary Stampeders, who narrowly beat the Montreal Alouettes 2 nights ago at McMahon in their opener.
Whoa.
Flags out all over the place.
Offside. Saskatchewan, no flag. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still second down, and there's one more play.
That was a good discussion by the panel on Simone Lawrence and the edge that he plays on, and I would agree with the sentiment there that you don't like to see when he does go over the line, but I know it is part of his game, and the forearm was the mistake on the early hit against Fajardo, but he walked over with that penalty and stopped the whole play just to get in the ear of Duke Williams and just remind him, yeah, that was you that went offside there.
They've had something going in this game. Fajardo with time and a good catch with Cameron Kelly all over him. Justin McInnes hauls it down, and the third quarter ends that way. Close to a Rider first down. 3-quarter time. Saskatchewan with the 6-point lead heading into the final 15 minutes. There's your score. 12-6 Saskatchewan through 3 quarters of play, and the numbers too, and what has still been a good defensive game between these two teams. Of course, the biggest one of all here in the CFL in 2022, the Grey Cup, the 109th, will be played here at Mosaic Stadium November 29th. And they issued us some Grey Cup scarves, which is nice. We don't really need them today because it's a very warm day here in Regina. These might come in handy, though, I would think.
Yeah, well, hey, I've got some inside info, too. Okay, so here's the inside info. I've already bought some tickets.
Yeah.
Tried to reserve them, and they go on to the public on sale on
Tuesday.
Yeah, on June 14th on Tuesday. So the inside info is there's not going to be many available. You better get on the phone quickly or online quickly to make those purchases, because they are going to disappear very quickly.
A tremendous CFL city hosting the Grey Cup. This is a 3rd and 2. Fajardo with a man in his face gets it away to nobody, so that'll be a turnover on downs. Cameron Kelly was right up in the face of Cody Fajardo, who had to throw it away. So the Riders, instead of punting, were trying a field goal, which would have been a long try for Lawther.
Rogers is going to step down and not see this blitz from the outside from Cameron Kelly. And it was a go route from Shaq Evans. Cody Fajardo just threw it away to save the loss. A little field position.
Second turnover going Hamilton's way. Lets them start at their 50, and it's still a 6-point lead. That's it. Batted at the line again. Charleston Hughes lost sight of it after it was deflected at the line, but falls incomplete. And that's at least the second time. We saw that in the first possession for Hamilton, to see Saskatchewan get hands up and knock that ball.
Chris Van Zyl going to work. 2 great veterans. Right of your screen, right here. Charleston Hughes was relocated.
2nd and 10 as the crowd picks up. Evans under pressure. Defense on him again. The ball comes loose. Hughes gets his hands on it. Flags come out. And that relentless pressure by Saskatchewan's defense forces Evans to cough up the football again.
It's going to be a stunt this time from the backside on Chris Van Zyl. They're going to bring Charleston Hughes inside. Nicholas Daly gets involved as well. Hughes is going to come in on the stunt. And bouncing around in the pocket, Dane Evans is trying to create something by buying time. Let's see what this flag is.
After the fumble, illegal block, Saskatchewan, number 37. We'll go back 10 yards. It's going to be first down for Saskatchewan.
So Saskatchewan does get the ball, but not the field position they were hoping for, pushing them back closer to midfield, but they get the turnover. Charleston Hughes got the ball.
Let me show you the stunt from the backside. Here's Charleston Hughes. Remember, Van Zyl moved him, and there's Milligan coming around on the stunt from the secondary. Now he's going to be delayed, and then he comes, and as Dane Evans steps up, that's when Milligan gets in there and strips the football.
Fajardo in first down with time, looked off to the right near the sideline for Shaq Evans, and that's incomplete.
One more time with that fumble and that delayed blitz. It was picked up initially, but just because it was delayed and Dane Evans had to step up, Milligan gets him from behind.
On second down, the blitz coming. He gets it away. It's caught. Caught by a newcomer. Jacob Prawl with his first CFL catch. And it's a big one. A gain of 33 as the Riders are knocking on the door.
Yeah, good training camp for Jacob Prawl, who beat out Paul McRoberts and Jonathan Johnson at camp. Paul McRoberts had some CFL experience too, so really a veteran, and then he comes and beats him out in camp in the preseason, makes a big catch right down the post, right down the middle.
An Ivy Leaguer from Brown University, a star with the Brown Bears in his first year in the CFL, his first game, and a catch to get them down to the 20. Morrow on the ground and down after about 2 yards.
Talked to Cody Fajardo this week leading into the game and asked him about that deep ball and how, you know, most of the offenses were a little bit off with the shortened season, no training camp, no preseason, and coming off the missed season in 2020. But he said, you know what I worked on? I worked on putting more air on the ball. Put a little more air on it, give my receivers a chance on the deep ball.
Great example of that in the Shaq Evans catch. But you're right. He's completed some deeper balls in this one, especially in the second half. And looking deeper here into the end zone. The coverage there by Jamal Roll and Shaq Evans, who's looking for a call. No flag is out. Coverage nice and tight there by Roll, who then bumps into Simone Lawrence. Evans does on his way back.
There's a flag there.
And a flag does come out, and Lawrence loves that. So frustrated Shaq Evans looking for a call, and he got one a little later on.
After the play, major foul, misconduct, Saskatchewan #1. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's going to be third down.
A new rule, a major misconduct after the play is over. If you get two, you're automatically thrown out of the game. You're ejected from the game. There's the play. I thought it was good coverage from Roll. Not really a problem, but on the way back to the huddle, Shaq Evans sees Simone and wasn't having the trash talk. And I'll tell you why. That's why Simone likes to trash talk. That's one of the reasons right there, because he believes he'll get under the skin of the opponent, and at some point in the game, they'll do something like that.
Paid off as it pushed Lawther back for this field goal try from the 26 to the 41. But doesn't matter here. Brett Lawther is 5 for 5. And it's a 2-possession game, more importantly, for the Roughriders. So no harm ultimately. Evans and the Riders now with a 15-6 lead. Darnell Sankey, leading tackler in the CFL, well with Calgary last year, big free agent signing. In the middle of a defense that has really played well. That's completed. Shaq Evans to Braylon Addison up across the 50.
There were big things out of Braylon Addison. Remember, without Speedy B in the Hamilton lineup, he's now in Argo. There's going to be 7 to 8 targets available to one of these Hamilton receivers. Got a little bunch going on the short side.
They do, throwing over to Poppy White. The rest of the bunch trying to block for him. He gets it across midfield, so picks up a few yards.
So it's basically where do those 7 or 8 targets go? And when you think of Braylon Addison back in the 19 season with almost 100 catches, 95 for 1,200 yards, you know, that's your first thought. If he's 100% healthy and he's had a good camp, that Addison would be the guy to pick up some of those targets.
What a 1-2 punch it was that year with Brandon Banks and Braylon Addison for Dane Evans. Throwing here and nearly intercepted. Was thrown right at Sankey. Just a few yards away. So it is knocked away, and it's a 3rd down. Ticats have to punt.
There he is. Is he gonna come on the blitz, or is he gonna stop and drop out of there? He stops, spies it, and cuts off the crossing throwing lane.
Larrier with the punt for Hamilton. Morrow back to take it at the 10. After a punt of 44, a return of about 6-7 yards. Saskatchewan deeper in their own zone to start this time, but they lead it by 9 in the 4th.
Want to sing it to the mic? Take me home, country road. Ah, let's go! Come on! Let's go! Yeah! Let's go!
That was awesome.
That was a sample from last year's regular season game at the close between the Riders and Ticats. CFL Wired. Don't miss it. New season Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern Time. Jack Evans on the move.
And just to be clear, the official was saying that was awesome about the singing of Country Road.
Right.
I think that's what
not praising the play.
No. Trying to get Shaq Evans the football somehow, and that last time went deep to him. Was well covered by Jamal Roll, so this is another way to get him the rock and get him outside.
And about 9 yards. Goes down in the books as a pass, by the way. Reception there for Evans. So 9 yards, so 2nd and short now for Saskatchewan. Trying to keep moving again. The offense has been more productive in the 2nd half, and if they can go down and score more points and maybe put this away. Ticat defense on Morrow. He has more than enough to get that 1st down. 9:15 to go in the 4th quarter.
This week heading into the game, we talked to Duke Williams as one of our guys. We get 3 or 4 guys before, and the coach before every game, and a chance to talk to him. And I mentioned the experience and the confidence that the group gets when Duke walked in the room. But I asked him about his leadership style, and he automatically said, hey, you know who leads our group is Shaq Evans. Shaq Evans leads me. He helps me. He's the veteran. And I thought that was interesting that he went right to Shaq Evans as the leader that he leans on in the meeting.
On the 1st down, after the play fake with time, with the receiver too, it is the aforementioned Shaq Evans with another catch and another 1st down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, and remember, you know, back in 19, Shaq Evans was targeted 108 times and caught 72 of them for over 1,300 yards. So yeah, I mean, this is a veteran that is a premier top receiver in the league. Now, had an off year due to injury last year, but he gets back into form. You're going to see a lot of that this season. So I'm not surprised that Duke Williams models himself and looks at Shaq Evans' game.
It was in week 2 right here against Hamilton last year that Shaq Evans suffered a broken foot. He came back but was not very effective in a shorter season for him as they take Cody Fajardo down for no gain at all.
Yeah, that's the thing that, you know, we'll sometimes mention an injury, but that really can affect.
Huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a hamstring that Duke Williams suffered. You know, we were watching Duke Williams play, say, well, you know, I don't even think he's hurt, but when you're fighting through an injury, it really affects your game. You try to get through it, you do your best, but they're healthy now.
It was Micah Johnson, the ex-Rider, on Cody Fajardo in that play that had no gain, and that one doesn't either. Javon Santos Knox, after the ball comes in, just touched by Evans, but incomplete, greeting him. So a 3rd down suddenly for the Riders.
Yeah, and where last year you would see frustration between those two, this time you see collaboration with Duke Williams not far away, but those two guys just walking off saying, hey, I got you. That was my fault. I was a little bit behind you there. They're back on the same page.
And if Shaq Evans is back on the page he was in 2019, 3 catches, 71 yards in this game. And Duke Williams 4 catches for 55. Hamilton ball, flag is out. Lawrence Woods. Dane Evans coming on. Some heat on the Ticats now, midway through this fourth quarter, and they are trailing by 2 scores.
Coming up directly after the Tiger Cats and the Roughriders, it is the Elks taking on the Lions. We are looking at shots of BC Place already outside. It is rocking. Cannot wait for this one coming up next.
And Kate, we have 7:40 on the clock, 7:28, excuse me, in this fourth quarter, and a 15-yard, no yards penalty. They're all 15 yards now, whether they're caught or they hit the turf first. It's a little better for Dane Evans. Airing it out wide open, Stephen Dunbar. He could go. He does go. Touchdown, Ticats, at a time when they needed it most. 71 yards, Evans to Dunbar, and Hamilton is right back in it.
And that's how quickly it can happen. Defensive struggle, defensive struggle. Cody Fajardo comes out, hits Shaq Evans on a deep ball, and that gets them some points. And just like that, Dane Evans, with just over 7 minutes to go, says, hey, we can sling it deep too. He catches them in a zone defense where Milligan was way caught into the middle of the field, and a wide open Stephen Dunbar puts 6 on the board.
Before that play, they had 29 net yards in the second half as the conversion comes from Michael Domagala. And then 71 yards on that one play that changed the tide of this game. Hamilton is still trailing, but they're back within a field goal, 2 points behind, putting some pressure on the Roughriders now. And that was the first touchdown scored in this game for either team. It's been all field goals for the Riders.
He's down here. He's down at the bottom of your screen right here, and he's going to run the go route. See Milligan? This is a 3-deep zone defense. That has got to be a drop over here, and go ahead and run it now. Stephen Dunbar gets outside of the jam from Nick Marshall. No deep help because Milliken's too far inside to the middle. So basically a bust in the zone defense. Marshall's not in man-to-man here, so he's letting them go, knowing he's got a guy over the top, and then he took a quick look and saw Milligan wasn't there. Here he comes in the screen late. Stephen Dunbar, man, if you bust the coverage at this level, goodbye. The quarterback is going to see it and make you pay.
And Domagala with the kick from the Ticat 30. Picking it up in the return is Jamal Morrow. And good coverage on special teams for a fired-up Hamilton team. Nick Cross is in there. Kyle Wilson, too. And talk about fired up. Product of the Houston Cougars in his second year with the Ticats, Stephen Dunbar. One of the many new additions to the receiving corps on Hamilton last year.
Yeah, they're just going to get better. They're going to get more and more reps together. Dunbar, second-year player. Tim White, second-year player. Hoppy White, second-year player. They're just going to get better, get more reps with Dane Evans. And that was great recognition. Beat the zone.
Riders still lead, but it's tight. Fajardo finds a receiver, and another nice catch there by Shaq Evans, who has been a busy man here in this season opener.
Little touch on the throw from Cody Fajardo to get it over the linebacker level. Simone Lawrence dropping right in his vision, so he just puts it up over Simone Lawrence. Little spin, catches it. That's a real tough catch to make over the middle when you know you're going to get hit. He doesn't, but 9 times out of 10 you are.
Jumping up and turning back to make a nice catch. We were always talking about the defense in the first half, but offenses are picking up. Little fake. Fajardo. Simone Lawrence in pursuit. And out of bounds he goes after picking up a couple on that first down.
Boy, when you saw that play at the beginning of it, it almost looked like there was a lot of room to run, but that's the athleticism of Simone Lawrence. He just made up 5-6 yards to limit the gain, because that looked like it could have been a big one. There was no containment from the D line there.
As it was, he got over 6 yards. So a second and short. Yes, leading all the quarterbacks last season in 2021. Cody Fajardo, the second leading rusher in the Riders last year, behind William Powell. And here is their feature back, Morrow. Been busy on offense and certainly on special teams as he gets it up around midfield and just shy, right at midfield, of a first down. Less than a yard they would need, or call it about a yard, for Saskatchewan.
Okay, coach.
They've been doing it before, only what makes it more interesting with this gamble is the circumstances after that last big play by Hamilton. We got a 2-point game. Riders are 1 for 3 on these third down gambles. The last time as they turned it over on downs. Morrow, and he has enough. Knifes his way through across midfield. Does indeed pick up about 3-4 yards. And the sticks move. First down, Saskatchewan.
I'm going to call that a gutsy coaching decision. I just am. I mean, that was a long yard. That was just over a yard. And 2 great front sevens tonight putting on a show. I mean, that, I would call that a risky call on third down. Now you're giving Hamilton the ball with 2 first downs away from taking the lead.
Craig Dickinson can breathe for now.
Yeah.
For now. Because, yeah, if they turn that over on downs, that could be a whole lot of trouble. Looking to set up a screen. Gets it away. He's got more. And he's got some room down the sideline. Cutting it back in. Big gain Morrow inside the Hamilton 30.
Well, Fajardo makes the play because Cody Fajardo, this screen looked like it was read by the Hamilton defense, and Fajardo just kind of waits. Simone Lawrence is on a blitz, but you see how Morrow stumbled trying to get out there for this little screen to the tailback. Fajardo with his footwork working to his opposite side, to his left with a right-handed quarterback, and just waited long enough for 25 to get open.
And 25 gained 25 there. Getting it inside the 30 down to the 27 of Hamilton. This is the answer back the Riders need on offense after that big strike to Stephen Dunbar to get Hamilton close.
I mentioned off the top in introductions, the leader for the offensive line for Saskatchewan is Dan Clark, the center, and he gets engaged with number 21 Simone Lawrence, and he is got him on the tracks. Look at him, just
even out of bounds.
And if he didn't hear a whistle, they might have been pushing all the way up the stands. I went on a little speaking circuit about 3 months ago with Dan Clark, and boy, I could tell you just leader oozes out of this guy. I mean, no matter how he's talking to anyone, a kid in a banquet, parents, organizers, or his teammates, he is a true leader top to bottom.
Craig Dickinson saying yesterday, referring to Dan Clark, he's the one guy I don't worry about. Having that veteran presence.
That's what coaches want. They want a guy they can trust, don't worry about, will be consistent. They got that in Dan Clark.
Good speaker, Simone Lawrence.
Yeah, awesome. And good eater, too, by the way.
I bet.
Not a buffet he doesn't like, I'll tell you that.
Working hard on this one. And dumping it over to Keenan LaFrance. And LaFrance moves it down inside the 20 on that first down play.
Now the goal for the Hamilton defense is to get this stop on second down. This is now you're looking at 3 yards to go.
We have a timeout for Hamilton.
And that's, yeah, I'm not surprised that they're going to call it just before the warning, or else you're going to lose that timeout anyway, so you get that called.
And the Riders have had nothing but field goals, and Hamilton now really needs to keep it that way to keep it a one-score game.
Exactly. So then you keep it a single-score game where a touchdown can win it for you. And as we've talked about, and as we've seen in game 1 of this 22 season, the last 3 minutes, a lot can happen.
And it's looking like it has that potential now, depending on what Saskatchewan's able to get out of this drive. Of course, if they do get into the end zone with under 3 minutes to play, it'd be the first time of the game, if they do, for Saskatchewan. Could also pretty much put it out of reach, even though we've seen a lot of drama in the final 3.
How good is that?
They're having a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of fans will be having a good time here throughout the year and in the Grey Cup. Grey Cup 109, November 20th, 7th play of the drive. Here's Fajardo. wants it all. He has it with a flag coming out. It's Kean Schaefer-Baker and a touchdown, Saskatchewan.
There is a flag. Let's take a look because there was some hand fighting going on. But wow, what an example of what Cody Fajardo told us about putting more air under the ball on his deep throws.
And they just announced it was pass interference against Richard Leonard of the Ticats. It is a Schaefer-Baker touchdown, and the Riders back on top by 2 scores.
And this is why he said it to us, said, if I get more air under those deep throws, then I just basically give my receiver a chance to fight for and win a jump ball. And that's exactly what happens here with Schaefer-Baker. I saw the hand fighting both ways and wondered which way that flag would go, but they did announce that it was Richard Leonard. They called on it, so that'll be declined. Touchdown Riders, and it's 2-possession game.
First touchdown of this game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it's huge. With the Lawther conversion, they increase their lead to 9 and make it a vital 2-score game again with under 3 minutes to go. Schaefer-Baker, first TD of the season, Saskatchewan.
Hamilton with a lot of work to do here. Under 3 to go in Regina. And coming up, as soon as that is done, we will get you to BC. A little bit of the One Republic concert coming up, and then kickoff between the Elks and the Lions.
And Kate, fans are picking up here the energy with the Roughriders back leading by 9. As you said, Ticats have a lot of work to do now in a short period of time to get back in this game off the Lawther kick. Be taken by Lawrence Woods inside the 5. Up to the 30, and he is met there and hit a ton by Albert Awachi. On special teams, the Rider fullback.
Boy, this play by Schaefer-Baker is made before the snap of the football with motion. Baker's going to come in motion this way and basically do a little switch on the corner route. And what it does is it forces Deontay Evans and Richard Leonard to switch. They do it right, but it puts Leonard in a chase. See how he gets caught in the chase when they switch receivers and Evans jumps Evans. Baker is in the corner and Leonard's in a chase position.
Intercepted Derek Moncrief. This could do it. Moncrief still on his feet, heading towards the end zone, and he nearly got there.
Well, they'll review it to see if he did get there. But we've seen Jason Shivers change their linebackers with safeties, put defensive linemen sometimes back there, and this time it is Derek Moncrief, who we've seen play at safety. He's just jumping the crosser. He sees the crosser coming from Braylon Addison, jumps it. Dane Evans doesn't see him, thinks he's going to go deep, and does he get in?
So close. They mark it down at the 1. Derek Moncrief was a CFL All-Star for Saskatchewan in 2019. Went to the NFL, came back last year, and he signed on mid-season with the Edmonton Elks. And then as a free agent, signing back here in the green and white. That close to a Moncrief touchdown. 39 yards on the return for Derek Moncrief. The Riders can ice this now. Cody Fajardo and a touchdown, Saskatchewan. They had a hard time finding the end zone, but in the last minute they have found it twice.
And in the Canadian Football League, even low-scoring games have lots of scoring.
Offenses, thanks to the defense, in this case, have found their way back. You're right. Defense set this up, which is a story in and of itself, the way this game is played out. But Fajardo with the touchdown after throwing one. The Kean Schaefer-Baker, touchdown maker in this case, in this season debut.
Sky's the limit for him. I just athletically, you know, those are the guys you call, you know, freak athletes.
It's a 15-point lead.
And that's a good thing.
Kicking one would make it 16, till still 2 scores. If they get the 2-point convert, it's a 3-score game. What they're trying now, into the end zone, and Duke Williams has it for the 2-point conversion. Duke Evans. Look at that.
What was he doing? Okay.
From their point of view, as long as he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. No, I mean, this is a good catch. I mean, it's behind him a little bit, and he reaches back. It's like those hands are magic. But so then there was some sort of gizmo type flip. You remember the Giz?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
How could you not?
Gizmo Williams.
Henry Williams. And the Giz used to do after every punt return, and believe me, there were a lot of them for touchdowns. He'd do these flips. Now, okay, I think we got to work on, well, we just didn't quite stick the landing, but
I'll tell you what, that's a lot better than I would have done. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, we're not trying that. I'm going to tell you right now, as your partner, I'm not letting you try that.
And I call Duke Williams, Duke Evans. It's like they're going hand in hand today. They both had big second halves with Shaq Evans and Duke Williams. And now it's a 3-score game. And it's a lot more than daunting now at 2:36 to go, and taken down on that tackle is Jaden Dalkey, product of the University of Alberta, getting in on the act here. The rookie, drafted in 2022. On that tackle of Lawrence Woods, so Saskatchewan had 2 touchdowns in 21 seconds. The toss from Fajardo to Schaefer Baker, and then the Moncrief interception to set up the Fajardo run.
Jaden Dalkey coming down on the cover teams, and tackle.
New quarterback Matthew Schultz making his Ticat debut under pretty daunting circumstances. Dane Evans out of the game, 18 for 28 at 222 yards. Did have the touchdown pass to Stephen Dunbar, but he's thrown a couple of picks as well. That last one very costly by Derek Moncrief.
Yeah, this is an excuse for the Hamilton offense. But again, we talked about the receivers just basically across the board, except for Braylon Addison, who's coming off injury.
Hamilton, number 67. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still first down.
They're going to take some more time to be able to execute a little bit faster, not think as much, let the game come to him, and just get the ball out of Dane Evans' hands, because he faced a lot of pressure tonight. And if your receiving core and you are on the same page, you can beat that pressure with quick throws. Couldn't get it done. He threw a couple picks, and Saskatchewan defense has been pretty relentless. Both defenses played well tonight, though.
6 sacks in the night for Saskatchewan. Schultz, first toss, and he completes it to Braylon Addison across the 25.
And I know people are saying, well, wait a minute, the Hamilton defense didn't play well enough. There's 30 up there, but those were late touchdowns. Those are one-on-one deep balls where receivers won the jump. And I think this Hamilton team will go back and regroup. Got a dynamic defense, great front four. And they'll be back. Great leader at quarterback.
Ticats lost their opener last year in Winnipeg and then lost here in Saskatchewan. Fall behind 0-2 before getting in the winning track. Don Jackson there, and it's like a first down for the Tiger Cats from Schultz. But they got it rolling, eventually finished 8-6, second in the East. Big comeback victory in Toronto in the Eastern Final, and Orlando Steinhauer and the Ticats got back to the Grey Cup game, only to lose a heartbreaker in overtime to Winnipeg.
Great crowd here at Mosaic. Very tough to win at Mosaic with the crowd, as it is at Tim Hortons Field as well in Hamilton.
Schultz to Addison again. Good tackle there by Derek Moncrief in the open field.
Tim White's going, what did I do? That was a mistake. Braylon Addison will be buying dinner after that one. But another big one coming up right after this, folks. You got the BC Lions and Edmonton going at it in BC Place. Big crowd there, over 30,000 to wrap up week 1.
138, 2nd and 8. There's Addison up at the 50 as the Sticks will move again, but time is against them now, down by 17 points.
Yeah, and Matthew Schultz knows that, you know, the Saskatchewan defense playing off with giving the receivers a lot of room underneath. But I love this guy's approach to the game. I think he's got great passion for the game. We saw him play as a backup in Montreal, got a couple wins, one real good win in Ottawa last year. You know, I think he's got the tools to be a real good backup behind Dane Evans.
On the first down, and look at that. More pressure from the Riders. A.C. Leonard, the sacks leader in 2021, making it the 7th sack for Saskatchewan in this game.
Yeah, A.C. Leonard, he is sort of the Willie Jefferson type of athlete, and I say that because that's a special, different type of athlete you just don't see very often. But we've seen him tonight drop it and play safety. I mean,
versatility. Remember, he started his career as a receiver with the BC Lions.
He's 250 pounds, hitting in his back pedal.
Versatile indeed. More heat, setting the screen. Don Jackson. And maneuvers his way up across midfield. Not enough for a first down, but academic at this point with 1:05 on the clock. Strictly 3-down ball for the Ticats.
We start week 1 right here, and we will finish in the end of November right here.
Looking forward to that too, regardless of who's here.
Regardless of who's here. And it's going to sell out quickly. Tickets go on sale on Tuesday.
As a point of history, and you know a lot of Rider fans are thinking about this, the matchup in 2013, the last time the game was here, was Hamilton and Saskatchewan.
Henry Burris controls of that one for Hamilton, and Darian Durant put together a playoff run that year that was remarkable.
They really did. That was their year, and a highlight for so many who passionately follow Saskatchewan football.
I wonder if Tom Hanks will be back this year.
He was there back in 2013 with Martin Short. I do remember that.
Cody Fajardo, you know, the first guy the quarterback thanks after getting what will be his 22nd win in his first 30 starts.
For a guy that broke in with the Argos as a third stringer, in the same story with the BC Lions, and fought his way to get a chance, and he got that chance in 2019 when they went 13-5.
That's what I mean. Both defenses played well tonight, and then there was this burst in the fourth quarter by the offense for Saskatchewan. And these are athletic plays that sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. But Moncrief with a pick on a nice read. Schaefer Baker winning that jump ball on Richard Leonard. So a couple plays like that, and that's why the score is at what it's at. This is a 2-point convert. Nice catch by Duke Williams over the middle. But up until that quick barrage, Hamilton's defense playing outstanding as well. So,
and lo and behold, now we have 43 points on the board, which is, I'm sure some weren't exactly seeing that coming when it was 3-3 in the second quarter.
Almost 60 in game 1.
Under 35 in the clock. More heat on Schultz, running around now. Does get away for a little while before he is taken down.
So 22-8 for Cody Fajardo in his first 30 starts. That puts him in this group, in this category. And what is the common thread throughout those names?
They have all won, and I believe multiple championships. Levi Mitchell at the top. But you're right. You see those names: Kenny Plain, Joe Zuger, who was great with the Ticats. Kenny Plain, a legend with the Bombers. Warren Moon won 3 as a starter with Edmonton, 3 straight. That's a feat. Zach Collaros looking to repeat as a quarterback with Winnipeg. They're off to a 1-0 start after a narrow victory over the Ottawa Redblacks. But yeah, that's elite company for Cody Fajardo. 22-8, 30 starts. Winding down. Oh, and isn't that a fitting way to end it? That's how it started. stripping the ball of a Hamilton quarterback as Charleston Hughes celebrates being back in green and white.
Yeah, I think 39's got a little more tread on the tires.
39, who'll be 39 and in his next birthday and is looking young in this day.
Yeah, I mean, we've tracked him. He's played basically every other series, so he plays one series and sits one out. And they're going to try and do it all year and keep him fresh, but a pure pass rusher, one of the best in the game's history. And he's climbing up the chart. Not sure if he registered a sack tonight. I'll check the stats here, but you know, at the end of the day, he didn't get a sack yet tonight, but he'll get his share. Count on it.
Well, it was a slow start for the offense because the defense was so good throughout this game, but offense did pick up a bit in the second half.
They did give him a sack. They just gave him a sack for that last play. So he gets one and goes up that all-time list just a little bit more.
There you go for Charleston Hughes, and there you go for Cody Fajardo. The Roughriders win their first game of 2022 here at Mosaic Stadium. Their dream is to win the last game at Mosaic on November the 20th. A lot of football still to be played for both as we send it back to Cape Burness.
And we cannot wait to be there at the end of November. Milt, it took a little bit of time to get some offense rolling in this game, the second half of the fourth quarter to be exact, but credit to both offenses, mainly Saskatchewan's, for getting there.
Yes, we finally got there.
We did.
Especially in the fourth quarter. You think about the first half, Cody Fajardo had 67 yards passing. He finished with over 300 yards passing. He made some great throws, but his receivers also stepped up and made some great catches. Receiver coach Travis Moore told me during training camp, Milt, my guys, we're going to make some plays. We're going to make some plays. That's exactly what they did today. So that was exciting to see. Like I said, it started off bad, but they finished strong. Even Hamilton, yes, they did make some plays, but they were not able to make enough plays to defeat these Saskatchewan Roughriders. Great job offensively, also great job defensively.
Yeah, tip of the cap to Jason Shivers in that defense. Pressure, bust pipes. I think that's what they say, and it busted Dane Evans tonight. You saw, we keep on talking about Maddie. He was running off the field after those second downs. He was under siege.
He was not happy.
Yeah, he was not happy, and they were coming at him from all angles, whether it was secondary pressure from the linebackers or just flat out getting their butt kicked in the interior of that defensive line. But great game plan from Shive, great defense. And hey, let's give a tip of the cap to the home field and then that crowd for creating noise.
Yeah, and Davis, you got to win at home. Big first step for Saskatchewan to protect our house, win at home, and get one step closer to hosting a Grey Cup. Long way to go, but feels pretty good to beat a team that's been in the last two Grey Cups. And I thought that was just a heck of an effort. Lowther was money. They could count on him. He didn't miss a beat out there. And then the defense, if they weren't picking it off, harassing Dane Evans, they were knocking the ball down. They were switching it up. You heard Suits and Rod talk about it. You know, I know how to attack that. Don't have time to go into it. But Dane Evans is going to learn from this football game, guys. You learn a lot more from losing than you do winning. And he's going to learn a lot from this football game and try to right it wrong.
That crowd in BC looked pretty good. So that might be good for defense.
Not that we weren't concentrating on that game, but Chaz and I were pulling up shots of the crowd coming in just outside, and then the One Republic concert coming up as well. And you know what? It's a glorious thing to see in BC. And they've got a lot of hope with Nathan Rorick there and the two receivers. And yes.
Do you think there'll be more fans in BC than there were in Saskatchewan?
Don't you say that, Milton.
In Regina?
Don't you say that. I mean, it looks great in BC Place. As you can see, it is filling up, and we're going to get you to BC right after this, a little the One Republic concert, and then kickoff between the Elks and the Lions.